A death in the family. Again. Damian Wayne, newest sidekick to don the Robin persona, is dead. We check in on Brand X to analyze what sort of impact death has on the comic book industry. I'm James Heyer, and speaking of Back from the Dead, Enrique Ramirez, and we're true believers. So, Enrique, I heard you had malaria. How was that trip to Africa? I know you've just been real sick lately.
I've been horribly sick. No, I actually did the family thing for a few days. You know, kind of interrupted our podcasting.
Our love.
Our love. But we, 13 of us piled in an RV and drove out to California.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and
did you go for the gold rush?
I did. We found nothing. No, we did the Disney thing and all that fun stuff.
That's
and
cool.
we did the RV parks. And my mistiming is I left the week before WonderCon. So
yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. This isn't rehearsed at all.
Yeah, so I was like, And when I was there, their Cartoon Network is unveiling a new Batman cartoon, and they had a big to-do there in L.A., and I missed that too. So.
Oh. Well, at least you got to spend time with your family.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that was fine. But what's funny is, you go down Hollywood Boulevard, and, there's a bunch of nobody's dressed up as Batman, Spider-Man, and you could take your picture with them, and you pay them a few bucks, and it was awful. There were a bunch of fat Batmans out there and some fat Banes, and
Sounds horrible.
It was horrible, and they all want to take your picture, and I think I had a Green Lantern shirt on, and so I got attacked by the Green Lantern. Hey, take your picture. Like, no, get the heck away from me, you dirty Hollywood Boulevard trash.
That reminds me, and this story isn't as interesting, but do you remember, were you with us when we saw Green Lantern?
No. That
Okay,
was
you
one
missed
I
that.
didn't get. I didn't get
in the movie. But there was this guy at the Warren Theater downtown. Like, we were all crammed in there. And, of course, you've got, like, people who are dressed up. But I was wearing a Green Lantern shirt, of course.
Yeah.
But, like, you had this guy that, like, just gets up and he's, like, all decked out in full-on costume. And he's, like, this pretty big dude. And he starts chanting the in brightest day, darkest night. and to his credit, he kind of looked like Hal Jordan.
Oh.
He looked more like Hal Jordan than Ryan Reynolds did. So
what's sad is he thinks he's cool doing that, but then everyone else in line and there was like, who is this weirdo? And is he going to shoot us all up?
Well, everyone needs to have a little fun. I'm sure
That's
he
right.
goes to work and hates his job during the day and hates his family when he gets home.
Right. See, I should say hate my job. I just, I don't think anyone loves their job, but
I know, yeah.
I don't hate it that much to where I think I need to dress up as a superhero and go to a movie premiere.
Okay, well, good point.
He must
taken.
really hate his job to go to that extreme.
So, what else did you do in California?
Oh, that was about it. Did the Disney thing and got in trouble with my wife and the people I were with because they were waiting for me in line at Small World, and I happened to be walking across the Jedi training part, and out pops, and it's really cool because out pops. First off, they pick a bunch of 5 and 10-year-olds to come out and Jedi train. But then all of a sudden, Darth Vader appears, and it's this huge guy that plays Darth Vader. And then Darth Maul jumps out and starts doing flips and stuff, and all the music is playing. It's really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm sitting here watching, and my family's waiting for me by It's a Small World to jump on the ride with them, yelling at me. And but I'm watching Darth Vader yell at these little kids, "I've been waiting for you. Now is the time where he spouts out a bunch of different and it's scary, and this 5-year-old girl's up there hitting lightsabers with him.
Yeah.
So it was kind of amazing that way.
That's
just
cool.
because me and you would love to do that, but they'd never let us do it. They'd let these 5-year-old kids.
Men.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
Shouldn't do that anyway. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
How is it now? That was at Disneyland, correct?
That was at Disney California Adventure.
Okay. Isn't it interesting now? And I don't know, maybe they did before, but it's kind of interesting now that they have all the Star Wars guys perform, or they have people dressed as Star Wars
Oh,
performing
yeah.
at Disney parks.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't. I posted a picture. I saw the coolest mouse ears. And normally I don't buy mouse ears, but it was an R2-D2 head top. And it had little plastic parts on it. And the ears were like TIE fighter wings.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to get that. I don't care. If it was $100, I would have bought it.
We'll try to post that on the video.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
That in here.
And
we'll put it on our Facebook also.
Oh, yeah. And they've got like a whole Star Wars store there because they do a Star Tours ride, which is pretty cool. And then at the end, you can go buy a bunch of Star Wars gear. And, you know, they've got, you know, Chewbacca heads. It looks like you murdered a Chewbacca or a Wookiee and you carved its head out and you wear it as a hat. That's what those look like.
Well, while you were gone, we did a couple shows. We did one show, one True Believe. We did some crossovers with Sean,
which
and,
I did
and
listen
Melissa
to
from Free Lunch.
I did listen to those. Really good.
We did 3 Let's Plays, and then one True Believers show. We did Godzilla. But the Let's Plays, we're going to try to do that again, and this time we'll try to get you on.
Yes, I so wanted to be there because it sounded. I wanted to do it, and then listening to it, I was like, damn it, I really wanted to be there for that.
Did you ever play, because the Let's Play that he does that I've been watching recently is Link to the Past. Did you ever play that?
I did not play that, no.
Well, it's pretty it's pretty hilarious because that was one of my favorite games when I was a kid, and he's a few years older than I am, which when you're a kid, 10 versus 15 years old, like that's a huge difference. So he probably doesn't remember. He probably played the game once like a normal 15-year-old and was like, oh man, that was cool. Whereas I was like 8 or 10 and I like played it over and over again. So like I haven't played it in 20 years, but I still remember like I'm like, no, why are you going this way? Why are you so bad at this game?
You're wasting time.
But he's really funny and he's just we love Free Lunch. We love Melissa, who also has a name, but I'm just going to call her Melissa because I don't remember what her. I apologize.
What's funny is we listen to those and we can't remember her name.
No, I know her name personally, but
yeah.
I don't know her video game name.
Right, and it's a good. I love listening to those. The best way to describe that, he's like the Bob Ross of gameplay. You know. Oh, we're just gonna walk in here.
Oh, we're just gonna kill a happy little Octorok.
Oh, every time he dies, it cracks me.
Sometimes he was getting pretty mad at the end. He's like, damn game designers, get your hitbox right.
Yeah, it's their fault.
Yeah, it's like.
No, but if you want to listen to a fun quality podcast, Free Lunch is good. It's on YouTube. We'll post a link.
They're kind of our what would you call it, our sister group.
I would say that.
Yeah. We do it. We try to do a lot with them. They're really good friends of ours.
Yeah, so. Definitely.
So
I can't wait to do another crossover, to be a part of
another
crossover. Yes. Jeez.
So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We've been wanting to. This happened. What about last month's issue? Is that correct?
Yeah, Batman Incorporated #8, where Damian Wayne or Robin dies at the hand of his clone twin brother, who's much bigger and older. What stinks is I haven't. I just picked this up because the death of Robin. Of course, I'm going to pick it up. Mm-hmm. But I really didn't follow the Batman Incorporated until then. Now I'm feverishly trying to find 1 through 7 so I can get caught up on what.
Now, do you know? I'm not entirely too familiar with these. I know, other than knowing that Damian Wayne is Batman's son and Robin, which I didn't even know he had a son. Right. Did Batman know he had a son?
Well, it stems from...
kind of explain about
right,
him.
And this is just vaguely from me, and I apologize to all the purists out there for my ignorance on the subject, but Damian pops up way early on as he's basically the son of Talia al Ghul and Bruce Wayne. Okay. And Bruce Wayne didn't know he had a son for a very long time. And he just kind of, Talia, I think, just plops him on his doorstep one day. Hey, you have a son. It's like an episode of Maury.
It's always funny when they do stuff, and this is much better than what they did with Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy and Norman Osborn like 5 years ago, and I don't even want to talk about that. That's so bad.
I don't want to get you upset
I might
on
get
our
upset.
first one back in a
But
while.
this is nowhere near as bad as that. Like that was bad. This is okay. But the one thing that always puzzles me when they do stuff like this is like, so okay, this kid's what, 10, 12 years old?
Yeah, he's very young. But
so
he was
like,
trained as an assassin.
Right.
He was
right.
supposed
He was
to be
raised by
right.
Talia and Roz, right?
Right, and he was supposed to be like, the chosen one to.
So here's my question: all these times in the past decade or so, like who knows how the timeline works with Batman, and maybe this is a New 52 thing, I don't know, but so all these times in the past decade or so where Batman fights either Talia or Ra's al Ghul, they've been hiding this secret this whole time and doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, it makes you. Did he fight her pregnant? Was she pregnant when? I don't know. I'm just making up stuff
that.
now. But I'm at a point right now where I'm going back and trying to find out, where Damian came from, his origin story, which apparently a lot of people hated. A lot of people hated that storyline where Bruce Wayne had a kid. But he was supposed to be the next chosen one, like a Raj, however you want to pronounce it, Al Ghul's like predecessor, and to be this, he was trained as an assassin.
Which kind of makes sense because that was always Ra's al Ghul or whatever you call him. I call him Ra's.
Yeah,
I think it's pronounced Raj, but
nerd.
That was always his plan with Batman. Was to make Batman his not predecessor, his heir.
Yes, heir.
And so now he's taken Batman's son to be his heir. So that's kind of interesting.
And what's funny about Damian is like, he's went through all this training to kill, but then when he meets up with Bruce, he kind of, he's still a hothead, but he wants to do his, be a good son and do what his father says.
How do you like him as a character? Because I like I said, I don't know.
I've read a couple of one. A lot of people hate him because he's a snot-nosed little kid, but I like him because in this number 8, he's a pretty cool badass, and I really start to. That's why I want to find the 1 through 7. I want to see more about him, and I think even in Batman and Robin, I haven't collected those either. But he seems like a badass. I think he's killed before, but he's at a point where, Bruce is teaching him not to kill, that killing is wrong, and so he's kind of fighting with that. But if you've read Batman Incorporated number 8, he's a fighter. He doesn't put up with any shit. And he's beating up little kids that are in the comic book. He sees his monster brother, his twin, and he just goes right at him, headstrong. This little 10-year-old's fighting this huge, probably 6 foot, 300-pound monster that's just going at him at full blast, and they're just fighting it off. And Robin's taking his licks, and he doesn't back down. So he's I think a lot of people didn't give him credit, and now that he's dead, people are now looking at him more.
It's the way it always goes.
Yeah. So then I'm guilty of that myself. So
I think I'm pretty sure another instance of that. I'm pretty sure when Gwen Stacy died, it was the same thing because before that, I'm sure kids were always writing in like Gwen Stacy, get rid of her. Mary Jane's better. And then it's like, but instead of just having them break up, they kill the girl, and then they're like, wow, what have you done?
And what's funny about we were going to talk about, does killing off anyone in a comic book, does that really help or does it hurt? Because when you think about it, each comic book, they're fighting death. It's not just good. Well, it is good versus evil, but good's trying to stop evil from killing.
Yeah.
But when you kill off, like you say, Robin or Gwen Stacy, does that, the way I see
Well, Robin, they've killed a Robin before.
Right. But not for good,
Todd.
Though. They always.
He was dead for 20 years. I mean, that's pretty much for good in comic world. I mean, it's. Do you think they're going to bring Damian back?
I think there's a good chance they will.
Yeah.
But will he be like a Jason Todd that turns into a Red Hood and goes after Batman?
Yeah, I would bet that they would bring him back pretty quickly just because
Because with Roz, you think, well, his mom's Talia. There's the Lazarus pits.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to come back, but he'll probably come back evil. I'm thinking.
Yeah. Well, like Jason Todd, when you do know, he's another example. Do you know the story of how and why they killed Jason Todd? The writers.
The writers, no. Was it because he was hated?
Yeah, but it's pretty interesting. What happened was he was a pretty hated character, and he was the second Robin. Robin had already kind of grown up and became Nightwing. So the writers tried to do Batman. So DC tried to do Batman by itself for a little while. But I don't know. I guess they kind of felt like they needed a Robin in there. They needed a Watson character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, I mean, it's like, it's one of those things. I get what they're saying, but also like Alfred works for that too.
Right.
It's just one of those things. I think sometimes these writers, I think what it really has to do with is toy lines.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Well, do you see it as giving Batman a little bit more depth as well?
I think so, but I think the reason why they went with, instead of just having Nightwing do his own thing,
Mm-hmm.
and having Batman spend more time with Alfred or like some other character, I think that really has more to do with toys. Like they want to keep making Robin toys. Robin toys are probably pretty popular.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of it. But Robin, so they made this new Robin named Jason Todd, who was really unpopular. Part of the reason is because I think, I guess he was another kind of snot-nosed kid,
Because Batman picked him up trying to steal
the tires off the Batmobile.
Yeah, yeah.
What's weird is this might be getting a little too in depth, but that might have been, I don't think that was his first appearance. I think that was a retcon after Crisis.
Yeah.
Crisis was like the New 52 of the 80s.
Okay.
But so he finds this kid trying to steal the tires off his Batmobile, and he's like, "You want to join?" And also, like, it doesn't help that every Robin looks exactly the same. They all have black hair.
Yeah.
They're all like the same basic person, at least physically.
Right.
So he was very, very unpopular. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, so DC decided, well, we'll let the fans decide. So they had him in a room. He meets his mom in this room, and then the Joker's going to kill them both. Mm-hmm. And they said, if the choice between Robin living and dying is yours, call this 900 number.
Oh.
And I guess the votes were in that he was to be killed, so they killed him off.
You know what's funny? We're doing this the day before Easter, and this reminds me of, like, when Jesus was crucified. Crucify him.
Oh yeah, that was the original. That was the original superhero resurrection.
Kill him. What's funny is, now that we're talking, I do have this comic book, Death
You
in the
do?
Family. Yeah, it's buried in my parents' basement somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to bring it. I'll have to
we're gonna either you bring it. I'll also download it just in case. But you try to find it. I think what's more interesting about killing off a character is the behind the scenes drama not drama, but just the bullshit with the writers. Trying to decide
which
how
is
to get
more
rid of them.
because if you think about it, Dick Grayson could probably still be the Robin if they really wanted to.
He could.
But he's not.
No. But yeah, you look at, you're asking about deaths. One thing, and this is another topic that could be an entire show itself. Have you ever heard of the girl in the refrigerator?
No.
Okay, the girl in the refrigerator is a theory. It started online about killing comic book characters, how it's a lot more violent and gruesome and permanent with women than it is with male characters.
Oh, interesting.
Where that came from was in one of the first issues with the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern in the 90s, he finds his girlfriend like strangled and shoved in a refrigerator. And the whole point of her was just a plot device, sort of like Uncle Ben type thing, except they let it go a little longer. And I think there is a lot of truth to that. I think with when there is a death, it's usually more gruesome and permanent with females. Like they've never, they've never technically brought back Gwen Stacy. They didn't make a clone of her. They tried to bring her back by making a clone, but everyone hated that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, but like Gwen Stacy's dead. And that one, if you go back and read that one, which we will do eventually, like it always kind of rubs you the wrong way. Like doesn't try to fight back or anything. Like it's just kind of weird. Mm-hmm. But then you see like or Batgirl. She wasn't killed, but she was paralyzed.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was pretty much permanent until the New 52. Is that correct?
Uh huh.
So they had to take revising the entire the entire universe in order to get her back and running again.
Exactly.
I mean, whereas Batman breaks his back and gets back in shape in a year.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because he's a man, James.
Yeah, of course. Yes. No, but and that's another thing is with and Bucky's another one. He came back the same year Jason Todd did, although they were both gone a very long. And Bucky kind of doesn't count because he was a character in the 40s, and then when they brought Captain America back in the 60s, he was already dead. Mm-hmm. So Bucky had been a plot device for decades. Mm-hmm. Like that's all he was. He was not a real character.
But are you a fan of, say they kill Damian off? Mm-hmm. They wait 20 years to bring him back. Is that better, or is bringing back a character stupid after they've died?
It depends.
Because it seems like it gets convoluted. Like with the Death of Superman, it got really crazy there. There were like 4 or 5 Supermans, and his Earth dad was dying, trying to bring him back. It was weird.
It depends, because speaking of Gwen Stacy, the Green Goblin died the same storyline, and it took them 20 years to bring him back. And when they did, I mean, he never really felt like the Green Goblin. Like,
right.
It felt like a totally different character. And I guess kind of the same with Jason Todd. Like, he's very different now.
Yeah.
The thing is, with Jason Todd, at least, I do kind of like, even though I'm not a big fan of bringing back characters after so long, especially when, like, the story, if the story means something, mm-hmm. then I don't really like it. But in the case of Jason Todd, the Red Hood is kind of cool enough that I can forgive that.
Right.
That I can look past
They've
that.
done something very interesting with him.
Bucky, you can bring Bucky back whenever you want. He was never a character to begin with. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't really count. So it just kind of depends.
I think it'd be easy to bring back Damian just on the fact that, what I would do if I was writing it is there's the Lazarus Pit, mm-hmm. but he comes back evil and he fights his father. Batman versus Damian, his son, father versus son, which I think would be a very interesting storyline.
I think so. I mean, yeah, they do have this mystical thing that keeps you alive forever.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I could totally see.
How does it work? It just works.
Yeah. Who cares?
Who cares? It's a fucking comic book. Who cares?
You were bringing up Superman, and I kind of brought back the Batman Nightfall thing. That's another example of whenever a lead superhero dies, they're going to come back.
Oh,
I mean, this is just publicity stuff.
Right.
Like Superman dying. Actually
sold a lot of comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then right now with Spider-Man, what they're doing with Spider-Man, I mean,
yeah,
technically he's not dead. His spirit's still there, so it's like
I don't even want to know.
they're just like 3 comic books away from Peter Parker coming back to life, which is you're just waiting for it now. It's interesting.
Aunt May, that's another character who died who they brought back, and that one makes
they brought back
no
Aunt
sense.
May.
Yeah, she died, and then they said no, it wasn't Aunt May. Norman Osborn, who, mind you, Green Goblin was dead at the time, had apparently hired an actress to die in place of Aunt May. And it's
Oh
like,
my God.
how stupid do you think? I know I'm only 10, but how fucking stupid do you think I am? Okay, this is so fucking retarded.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, yeah, we're getting a little off topic, but
No, we're talking
Aunt
about
May. Aunt May dying, like, that's one of those things where old people die. And that's something that, you know, I know it's real fucking hard to, like, write comics as good as the original writers did. So you need these characters, but it's like, if you kill off someone like Aunt May, you better damn well keep her dead.
Yeah.
Or revamp or restart the series.
Right. Or you kill her in a way where, like, she sacrifices herself to save Spider-Man. Because she knows it's Peter Parker. Like, she throws herself on her grenade. Oh, Peter! Ba-boom! Or she, you know, she takes a bullet for Peter or something like that. That's how I would kill a person like that off.
Yeah.
That has no superpowers, but has a very close tie-in with, you know, the superhero. Now, supervillains, I think, I don't know.
The only
it's hard to kill them
all. Those are hard to kill off. They're harder to kill off than a supporting character. The only supervillains that I can think of off the top of my head, the big ones, are Green Goblin and Green Goblin's son, Harry.
Well, didn't they kill off Kraven?
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did. They killed off Kraven.
Yeah, but, like, that
there,
one, who cares?
I don't know. That was a good issue.
Was it? I haven't read that, so I take it back.
He goes completely crazy, and then puts on he thinks he kills Spider-Man, so he puts on a Spider-Man outfit and starts beating people up. And then he says, "Well, my work here is done," and puts a shotgun in his mouth.
Oh my gosh!
And it's like, that's really dark for Spider-Man.
What year was this? What do you remember?
86.
So like when
84.
kids were like really. Well,
Spider-Man got real dark in the 80s.
Did it?
Yeah.
Is that when McFarlane and a few of those guys were?
That's a little bit later, but yeah,
Okay.
that's late 80, like 88.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh my God.
But I would think, I don't know. I think if you really want to shock comic readers or something, especially in the Batman universe, you kill off. I would kill off either the Riddler or the Penguin, just to.
Well, here's the problem. I'm going to use the Green Goblin again as an example. Green Goblin, other than Doc Ock, is probably Spider-Man's best villain. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when you killed off him and one of the main supporting cast members in the same issue or the same storyline, after that, there was a long lull of quality.
Oh, really?
In the 70s with Spider-Man. And he never did get back up to the level that he was at in the 60s. But in the 70s, for the next decade, it was just like, you know, killing off your best villain and your female lead. Mm-hmm. I don't think the writers really knew where to go. And, of course, it wasn't Stan Lee working on it anymore. Mm-hmm. But I think that is a problem that I think that is something, like, if you're looking for a real shocking story like that, you need to expect the writers not to be able to bounce themselves up.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't think about it that way because, like, recently,
I think that's why they don't kill too many villains off anymore, because I think Spider-Man really was, like, when you read those late 70s, they are bad.
Really? Well, that makes sense because with me, you know, I started collecting the Batman, the New 52, and, you know, I had to get a pull list because the Joker was coming out, and they were going to do a whole arc with the Joker, and of him coming back. He's been gone for a year, and then, you know, we did a whole series with him. And, you know, those are flying off the shelf. You know, it was hard to pick those up.
Yeah.
And that makes sense if they kill the Joker off.
Yeah.
Because right now, like, if there's the Batman Detective Comics, he's messing with the Mad Hatter, and
you know, kill Mad Hatter.
Yeah, who cares? Mad Hatter, I don't care. I'd rather see a line with the Riddler, which they haven't done yet. Which I think they'd like to see a little bit more in depth with him. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It'd be a lot harder to kill off a supervillain because, you know, people don't care about, you know, the Mad Hatter or some of those other goofy Batman villains.
Oh,
You know,
Mad Hatter is still probably one of the better ones. Like, there's some like Crazy Quilt and Maxie Zeus and all these just really awful. Speaking of Riddler, and this is a little off topic, but it's kind of the same idea. I think the reason why you don't see so much Riddler is, again, I think I would imagine he would be a challenging character to write about.
It's possible.
Like you'd have to solve all these puzzles that are really hard, so you have to like
people don't
make
want
a
to
really
mess
hard
with it.
puzzle.
Yeah,
So I think
That
that's
makes
probably why you
sense.
don't see too much of him. I think Two-Face is probably another one
oh yeah.
that might be a little difficult to write in because like everything he does is completely insane.
Yeah.
That's a weird. I love Two-Face. He's probably my favorite Batman.
Oh, yeah.
villain, but he's so. I think he's crazier than Joker.
Probably.
I mean, Joker kind of makes sense, but Two-Face is just like
He's all over the place.
he's like I just have to flip this coin over and over again. So, well, we could talk about death and Batman and comics and everything else for several hours, but we need to do what we were here to do, and that is read fan mail.
The fans want it.
We're gonna go. You know, out of all the Batmans that we were looking at, none of them had mail. So we're just gonna pick a Marvel at random, just because that'll just make things a lot easier. We're gonna go with Fantastic Four number 30.
Ooh.
Will the mysterious Diablo finally be the villain who succeeds in breaking up the fabulous FF? The answer, no.
No.
He will not.
Talking about goofy well, when you think about it, the Joker's a goofy character. But they
Yeah.
were able to at least mold him into something that was marketable and
Yeah.
people wanted to get more of.
Well, that's why you probably have never heard of Diablo, because
I've heard of him, but I just don't care for him.
Yeah, he's just not a very good villain. But at the same time, Fantastic Four does have good villains like Doctor Doom and
Oh, yeah.
Ramatut.
Ramatut.
So, okay, basically what happens is they fight Diablo. And we're just going to go ahead and skip to the mail. We'll show pictures of this in the video. I guess, do you want to start? Or?
I'll let you.
I'll start. Dear Stan and Jack, FF number 26 was a wild one, and I loved it. Imagine the number of superheroes turning into a disadvantage. Taking. Hold on. Let me just enlarge this real quick.
Okay.
This is
I'll
too
edit
small.
this out. Or
Maybe
not.
it won't.
No, this is it, guys. You're getting the real deal right
All
here.
right, let's try this again. Dear Stan and Jack, FF number 26 was a wild one, and I loved it. Imagine the number of superheroes turning into a disadvantage. And
It still doesn't make
doesn't
sense.
make sense. Taking a look at the cover, one would think the Hulk was inescapably doomed. But what happened? The torch just about.
It's been a while, folks.
Man, signs Captain America, Mr. Fantastic, lassos, Iron Man, Invisible Girl, Force screens, Giant Man, and the Thor hits the thing with his hammer. and
I hope
and
this
what
is a kid.
I hope so too. And what defeats the Hulk? Some itching ants and a capsule drops into his mouth by Rick Jones. About the cover, I think it gave a perfect overall picture of the story, and it was one of the best covers you've ever given us. That was quite a crowd of guest stars. Next, oh, you know what? I think this is the first one that we did that he's talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, our very first episode.
Yes.
We were just children back then. We were so young.
I've aged so much.
That was quite a crowd of guest stars. Next thing, you'll have the X-Men, Avengers, FF, Spider-Man, and Daredevil fighting Dr. Doom, Submariner, and the Hulk. Don't give the Hulk his own magazine.
Wow.
He's great like he is, a supervillain. Oh, you idiot. He's probably
Strike two.
He's probably appearing more in Avengers and FF than he would if he had his own magazine. Or, if you want another angle, giving the Hulk his own magazine would be like giving Dr. Doom his own magazine. And sure enough, you offbeat Marvel editors will probably think, say, why not? And that's Scott Frederick from Mena, Arkansas.
Strike 3.
Yep, strike 3. Say, Scotty boy, why not? As a matter of fact, we're going to start featuring old Hulky in the second strip of Tales to Astonish. We covered. I don't think that one aired yet. I think that's the one that didn't air.
Okay, that one's lost on a boat somewhere.
Yeah, it's lost.
Okay.
A la Doctor Strange and Strange Tales. As for darling Doc Doom, wait and see. I actually don't know if he ever gets his own comic.
The Hulk?
Doctor Doom.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no clue.
Figure it out.
You might want to adjust that so you can see it.
I'm getting a buzz in the audio here. I think because the...
Oh, I thought you were just getting a buzz.
We're going to pause here. Lift that off the... That's why. Okay, now it's gone.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Well, it's just... I was getting a buzz from
all that alcohol.
I feel good. Oh, shoot. What did I just do?
You scrolled too much.
Okay. We'll edit this part out. Okay.
You need to.
Grandma, will you help me? I can't. Oh, Jesus. Okay. We'll cut that part out, maybe. I don't know.
We probably will.
Is that this one?
Yep.
This one says, Distant Jack. Congratulations to you all for such marvelous mags. My husband and I, both 25, oh, it's a lady,
kinky,
have all kinds of reading material in our house, but ever since he bought home a stack of your Marvels, something new and different has been added to our book collection. Oh. May I also say that when we entered our subscriptions to just about all of the Marvels, including Daredevil, which is amazing, you asked for comments on issue number 26 of FF, when the Avengers were supposed to take over. Well, I hate to admit it, and I know I won't have an occasion to again, as I have a great deal of faith in you. But after debating this with my husband, we both think it was a letdown. Boom! There was absolutely nothing in the whole issue aside from the fact that all of our great heroes got in each other's way. Nothing happened, nobody took over, and there was hardly any ending. Well, this is just one opinion, and I'm anxious to read the opinions of the rest of the fans. I know how busy you are, so I will close for now, but not without saying that Daredevil #1 was extremely satisfying. Congratulations on certainly in order for this new mag. We are looking forward to the next issue and all future issues of the Marvel Group. Bye for now. That's from Lucy and Joseph Fernandez. Oh, Hispanic.
Where are they from?
They are from Albany, New York.
You know, I actually agree with just about everything she says. That comic does suck. Anytime the characters fight, nothing happens, nothing gets resolved, and Daredevil #1 is quite satisfying.
No, I've not read it. I'll have to read it.
You should. And then #2 is terrible. So.
And Stan and Jack respond, tell you what, lovebirds, drop us a line on your next anniversary and we'll send you a gift subscription. Is it a deal? And he spelled is it I-Z-Z-I-T. He's so hip.
He is. All right, let's see.
What do we got? You got a short one.
Okay, thank God. All right. Dear Stan and Jack, I owe you guys an apology. At first I thought books like yours were impossible, and I still think that other books with superheroes are. But when I first bought a Marvel, I changed my mind completely. I don't think hardly anybody writes comics like yours. And that's from Jim McDaniel in Sinton, Texas.
Wow.
I should have said it with an accent.
Dear Stan and Jack.
Dear Stan and Jack, I owe you guys an apology. Come on down here. My uncle won't shoot you. All right. And Stan replies, they better not, Jimmy, or we'll sue.
Wow. That Stan.
He's such
or Jack.
And or intern. Who knows?
All right, this next one we got. Dear Stan and Jack, I received FF number 26 today, and it was just dandy. I hadn't lost any of the excitement from number 25 during the time between the two issues. The team of Lee and Kirby is certain to go down in the annals of comic history as one of the all-time greats.
Sure to go down in the anus of history.
Most companies agree that we are, and now I gotta scroll.
Don't fuck it up.
Pause.
Don't fuck it up.
In the golden age of comics, and which I agree, but you call it the Marvel age of comics, which I consider a wrong statement. While Marvel has the best writers, some of the best artists, he said writer, not writers, so writer. Somebody's writing all of these. Some of the best artists and some of the best characters. Other companies have good artists, writers, etc.
Yeah.
So in my mind, Marvel isn't wholly responsible for the new golden age. You should refrain from using the term Marvel age and use the former. Brad Flowers, Lee Center, Michigan. Stan writes, but Brady, oh boy, we're only referring to our own mags. We agree that other companies have good artists, writers, etc. So let them make up their own ages. Fair enough?
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, Brad.
Shut up. Cool it, Flowers.
Yeah. All right.
It's a marketing thing. You wouldn't understand, you noob.
Idiot. Go back to your chem labs.
I'm selling comics.
Dear Stan and Jack, the FF ought to go back. Excuse me. The FF ought to go back in time like they did in FF number 19. Maybe they could go back to the middle of the 1800s where they could meet Kid Colt, Rawhide Kid, or the Two-Gun Kid. Okay, let me just explain right there.
School us.
Marvel also had lines. They didn't just do superhero comics. They also did Western comics, and so did DC. Western comics were really popular back then. These are Marvel's Western characters. They're all rip-offs of like other, of like the Lone Ranger and stuff like that. But I've never read them. They might be good. I don't know. Anyway, this would make a terrific story. You could print it on one of your Westerns. No, that's a bad idea. It'd be one thing if they did it in a... No, you can't have them appearing in the Western comic.
That'd be weird.
An idiot.
Yeah.
Let's see. Why don't you put a letter column in one of your Westerns? It would be the melting pot for all letters concerning your Westerns. And that's from Gail Sutton, and oh, no wonder I think, Gail.
I would say.
Okay. She is from Oracle, Arizona, so no wonder she's all uptight about Westerns.
I love Westerns.
Hey, Jack. Maybe Gail's a guy. I don't know. Hey, Jack. Do we still publish Westerns? You're asking me, Stan? I can't even remember how many fingers to give the thing. Oh, wait, I get it.
What does that mean?
That's in quotes. Let me reread that.
Okay.
He's as if he's saying to Jack Kirby.
Oh.
Hey, Jack, do we still publish Westerns? You're asking me, Stan? I can't even remember how many fingers to give the thing. Get it? Because they suck. I'm just kidding.
They don't suck.
They're wonderful.
I love them.
They're wonderful. Can you read okay?
Yeah. Here comes the next letter.
Okay.
Brace yourself.
It's a happy little letter.
I'm going to read this in the, this is going to be a shout out to Free Lunch. I'm going to read this like Free Lunch. Dear Stan and Jack, while I've had it, the Fantastic Four have gathered together in issue 27 and have been defeated again. This is hard, forget that. Even when they employ outside help, they are powerless to subdue the Submariner. Why don't they get wise and adopt this angle? If we can't lick him, let's join him. Naturally, I enjoy seeing a villain preserved for future issues, especially one as formidable as Submariner. But it does seem that the great and all-powerful FF could at least once bring the villain to justice. I would, of course, be another stupid deadlock if you match the FF against Submariner or the Hulk in the next issue. So I suggest, with all sincerity, that you let the FF do battle with the foe more in keeping with their capabilities, say Popeye, And please don't let him have his spinach or he will wipe out the FF completely. This guy's mad. And this guy is James Kunkel from Princeton, Indiana. What kind of crossover would that be? I just saw a comic book, Mars Attacks, with Popeye in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I almost picked it up, but I was like, I'm not going to.
Some people consider Popeye to be the first superhero.
I could see that.
He's older than Superman.
Of course,
I would say Gilgamesh is the first superhero from the Sumerian mythology, but whatever.
Whatever, indeed. No.
Or Odysseus.
Here's what is responded back. Not unless it's been soaked with cosmic rays, Jimmy. We make our own rules. Wow. That was a good one. That was a good letter. He threw in Popeye and now basically...
Was that sarcasm?
I think so.
That kid was pissed.
He was pissed off.
Dear Stan and Jack, though I'm a loyal FF fan, I believe that it's the world's greatest comic magazine. There are two things that I dislike about it. My main complaint is the continual appearance of the Avengers. Don't think I don't like them. It's just that most of the members have their own magazines, and I don't think that they should clutter up the FF's pages. My other objection is that you usually just have one story instead of two or three. Despite these minor faults, and I find that no other magazine compares with your artwork, costumes, plots, and characters. And that's from Bruce Levy from Valley Street, New York. Your problem is solved, Bruce. If you want two or three stories instead of one, just buy two or three magazines.
Do you think he puts kind of the hate mail in there to like just be a smartass back to him?
Yeah, I would. Because I don't think he's putting it in there to show his faults. I think he's putting it in there to be a dick to his
Because I was, reading these, I'm surprised, I give him propers for putting in hate mail or, whatever, and not just, fan mail, every single one, because this would be a boring show if it was all kissing his butt. But I think I look up to him, and I think it's admirable that he puts in hate mail.
I do too. If I were doing it, I'd put in all hate mail. All right. Well, I think there's more letters, but we're really kind of running out of time. I think we're just going to go ahead and wrap it up. Next week, this is going to be kind of like a two-part. Next week or next episode, we're going to do the death of Jason Todd, who was the second Robin, to kind of tie in with the Damian Wayne one. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go into that a little bit.
And I'm pretty sure I have that. I'll be at my parents' for Easter. So.
Hopefully it has mail. I would like to do mail with that instead of just picking a random Marvel.
Right.
But at the same time, Marvel does have the best mail.
They do. They do have some awesome mail.
Well, I think that just about does it. Once again, this is James Heyer.
And Enrique Ramirez.
And we're True Believers. Check us out. And we'll also have a listing for free lunch for the free lunch website.
Yes.
So check us out and have a great day.